Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching, and welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily, where I've got exclusive news on Geoff Johns' Green Lantern's Corps live-action universe, on the future of the movies and the TV show, which will be exclusive to HBO Max. So if you're feeling charitable, please smash the subscribe button and the like button and follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad so you never miss an insane moment of my platforms. So let's get going. So this is exclusive only to me, only to my YouTube channel, Big Mouth. This is God honest facts, or forget God, Superman honest facts. Superman never lies, right? Exclusive. Geoff Johns' Green Lantern Corps movie is dead at Warner Brothers. I repeat, Geoff Johns' Green Lantern movie is now dead at Warner Brothers. It's been dead for some time, but his universe isn't. Everything he was going to do in his Green Lantern Corps movie is now being transferred to the HBO Max Green Lantern Universe TV show. From the moment this became a thing on HBO Max, the movie universe was dead. So the budget will be huge, huge. He will get as much money as he would have got each film. He will have like $50 million or something like that to spend each episode. Now, I know that Greg Berlanti is producing this as well. He's got exclusive rights to DC content on TV, but he will not be developing this. In fact, the thing's already been developed. So everything that Geoff penned for the Green Lantern Corps movie is now transferred to the HBO Max exclusive TV show. This will pretty much be a movie every episode. This is massive. This is brilliant. Now, I know a lot of you have got a lot of issues about Geoff Johns and the way, allegedly, he treated Zack Snyder when Zack was on Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And a lot of you hold him responsible for Zack's removal on Justice League and what happened with Justice League. I don't have evidence either way of that. What I do know is, ever since I kind of experienced the first thing that I ever experienced that he wrote, which was the Smallville episode Legion, I knew this guy was talented. I went back and read his comics. All the Smallville episodes he wrote were amazing. His involvement in season 1 of The Flash was amazing. There's no denying that. The man is a genius, and he started at the bottom. So I've been excited about this Green Lantern thing. So basically, the movie was going to be kind of a Lethal Weapon-y kind of thing. It was going to be Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as partners, you know, policing the cosmos, policing Earth from alien threats. So both these characters will take center stage. I want you to think of the Star Wars animated series, the Clone Wars, and how one episode we could be focusing on Obi-Wan and Anakin, and then maybe on the clones or Yoda. This is what we're going to get. So I want you to, if you're a Green Lantern graphic novel fan of all the graphic novels, be very excited. Because what Geoff's doing now, he's going to represent every single character. Carol, all the characters from Ohio, all the Green Lanterns you can imagine are going to be in this series. It's one of the biggest television shows, I would say, financially, since Lost. It's a very ambitious project. It's going to be bigger than Game of Thrones. It's going to have those type of directors and writers on it. And Geoff Johns has handpicked who's going to be working on this show. So I have been talking, because what happened, I'll tell you what happened late last night here in Europe. I noticed that Thomas Polito was talking about this, and I was interested, and he was talking about the movie being dead. And so I spoke to my source over at Warner Brothers, and she was able to feed me some stuff. Not too much stuff, but what I've just told you. Basically, the movie franchise is dead, but not forever. So if this TV series actually does really well on HBO Max, which it is. This is going to be the very reason. You know how The Mandalorian is sucking in subscribers from Disney Plus? This is what this show is going to do. Now, I can also exclusively tell you something very important, that Geoff Johns, Greg Berlanti's Green Lantern HBO Max TV series is officially a part of the DCEU. This will be the first of many DCEU streaming TV shows on HBO Max. And if this is very successful, this will spin off for different characters doing DCEU movies. Because I spoke about this the other day when I went back to look at the original Green Lantern movie. This is not just about Hal Jordan. This is about a planet. This is about the Lantern Corps. This is a universe. This is Star Wars in the DC universe. This is massive. And if Geoff Johns gets this right, and I know in my heart that he will, this is a massive thing for Warner Brothers and DC Comics, and for massive DC fans like myself. So, to go back and reconfirm what's going on here, the Green Lantern Corps movie that Geoff Johns has already scripted pages for, completed the story and everything for, the movie is dead at Warner Brothers. It's now been transferred to the Green Lantern HBO Max streaming TV show, also produced by Greg Berlanti. So everything he was doing for that movie is now being transferred to this TV show. So the movie's dead, but the universe isn't. It's officially a part of the DCEU. Geoff Johns is fully in charge of this. This makes me happy because I trust him as a storyteller. I don't know him. Some people may not like him in the industry, but at the end of the day, I don't know that. All I know is I like Geoff Johns as a creative. When he's creating and he's not running something, a studio, like he was running the DCEU, the DC Cinematic Universe, that's different. This universe within DC Comics, the Green Lantern universe, is massive. It's so massive. And as I say, if you get it right, this is very exciting for all DC fans, DCEU fans, Snyder fans. And who knows, one day, if Geoff Johns and Zack Snyder can make the piece, if there is a piece to be had, maybe Zack can direct an episode or something. Nothing's impossible in this universe. But this is massive, as I say. This is DC Comics, Star Wars. And you've got so many characters, great villains, great characters. This is one of the biggest platforms in DC Comics. And to think that Geoff Johns is going to have this scope and this budget on a streaming service to be able to do it, take my money now. So as soon as I heard Polito talking about this, I had to investigate. And what I found out was so very exciting, and I had to bring it to you, my faithful subscribers. Greetings to the 2 extra subscribers I've got. I think I've got 2 new subscribers. Can't remember who you are, but thank you for joining. Thank you for supporting the channel. This is just the beginning. I have lots of ambitions for this channel. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, I will get better gear and I will do even more things and talk about different things within the entertainment industry. Obviously, my bread and butter is always DC. That's my first love. But I love entertainment, I love movies and I love TV shows, and I want to have the scope and avenue to do that. I also want to do more of what I did yesterday, which is acting, doing little 5-10 minute plays like I did yesterday with the I Hate Lockdown sketch as well. So I have lots of ambitions for this channel. So that's exclusive. The Green Lantern movie is dead over at WB. It's going to be the TV show on HBO Max. It's part of the DCEU. You should be very excited, my friends. Now, when I woke up this morning as well, apart from dealing with all that, I found a nice little article in Screen Rant. Now, I don't always like Screen Rant articles, but you know what? When they talk about the DCEU, which I think their writers seem to like, they do kind of find some interesting nuggets. And this is an article by Shane O'Neill, a really good movie journalist, right? Justice League. Lex Luthor was very important to Zack Snyder's DCEU plan, and I always suspected this. Lex Luthor was initially set to be a major part of Zack Snyder's DCEU narrative, and his significance would have been explored in 2017's Justice League. As fate would have it, his inclusion was largely cut for the post-credit scene between him and Deathstroke, and Luthor never got to grow beyond his debut in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Because of this, fans are left to speculate on what Luthor's future in Snyder's DCEU could have looked like. The DCEU franchise began with 2013's Man of Steel, which met mixed reactions from fans and critics. From there, Snyder continued with his vision of the DC universe, with 2016's Batman v Superman, which further divided audiences across the board. Some commended it and continued to praise its dark, gritty presentation, but others lamented its butchering of the ever-popular The Dark Knight Returns and the death of Superman comics. One of the biggest points of contention is Lex Luthor, uniquely played by Jesse Eisenberg. Fans expected a very different take on the character than what they got. Long gone were the days of Gene Hackman and Michael Rosenbaum, and the bald, calculating businessman was replaced by a long-haired, eccentric madman. After his first appearance, the owner of LexCorp was phased out of the franchise, and Eisenberg's take on the character never got the chance to fully develop. In the years since Justice League's release, information about his involvement has trickled out little by little, revealing that he was meant to be so much more in Zack Snyder's original DCEU continuity. It is unknown the total number of Lex Luthor scenes removed from Justice League's theatrical cut. Following Zack Snyder's departure from the project, Joss Whedon took over and overhauled nearly the entire film, leaving Luthor's story beats on the cutting room floor. Aside from the epilogue, it is known this wasn't always the plan. As concept art from the fabled Snyder Cut reveals some of his major story points, the pictures depict Luthor in his prison cell, with journals and books scattered about. And according to Snyder, the research he'd cultivated about Steppenwolf and the Mother Boxes would be very important to the League. Now, we know that in the Justice League movie, those books were kind of mentioned by Alfred and Bruce Wayne. Jesse Eisenberg himself said that he had a larger presence in the original plans for the film. Though Eisenberg has admitted to not seeing the Snyder Cut, he is aware that the majority of his scenes were left out, but the specifics and the number that were shot remain uncertain. The theatrical Justice League was designed as a course correction following Batman v Superman's critical reaction, and given Luthor's role in that movie and Eisenberg's portrayal being seen as divisive, his appearance would have worked against that strategy. Batman v Superman operated as Lex Luthor's origin story, and it was an unconventional introduction to an already ambitious take on the DC mythos. He is characterized as a man whose upbringing was rocky, suffering from physical abuse at the hands of his father. As a result, he grew up resentful to those more powerful than he, putting Superman in his crosshairs. He wants to weaponize kryptonite as a deterrent should the Man of Steel abuse his metahuman abilities. This also ties into his fixation on the relationship between gods and men, and how the latter should not be powerless against the former. In other words, a child shouldn't be powerless against his abusive father. Luthor's obsession with controlling the divine and anything not of this world pushes him forward as a character. He is quickly established as someone who craves control, knowledge and power most of all. And when he comes up upon the crashed Kryptonian ship, it is a treasure trove for him, opening a whole new world of study. The technology there allowed him to bend the will of Superman, which is his goal from the start. And Batman v Superman laid the groundwork for the man Lex aspires to be, and would have come closer to being in Justice League. Batman v Superman teased Lex Luthor's connections to Darkseid in a Batman v Superman director's cut scene, which featured Luthor and Steppenwolf aboard the Kryptonian ship, before the SWAT team swarmed the room. The image of Darkseid's uncle possessing all three Mother Boxes appeared before Luthor. The scene was titled Communion and was designed as a lead-in for Darkseid's Justice League arrival. This was also teased at the end of Batman v Superman when Luthor warns the Dark Knight that he's hungry, he's found us, and he's coming. All three characters, Luthor, Darkseid and Steppenwolf, were to appear in Justice League, but Steppenwolf was the only one to receive significant screen time in the theatrical cut. Luthor's findings would tie him directly to the big bad of the DCEU. Darkseid was set to appear in multiple planned Justice League films before Whedon's reshoots, and his invasion of Earth would be attributed to Lex, whose meeting with Steppenwolf alerted him of Superman's death. With the Kryptonian out of the way, Steppenwolf would stand unopposed in securing the Mother Boxes and seizing unimaginable power. At the same time, the information Luthor gathered would be a major part of the League's attempts to thwart the attack. His notebooks would hold the key to understanding the boxes themselves, as well as the entities seeking to secure them. Looking back on his DCEU run, it is hard not to imagine a bright future for Lex Luthor. The seeds were planted for him to be a prominent figure of the franchise, only for it not to happen, especially in Justice League. He would have played both sides of the fence, which would have been an interesting dynamic to watch play out, which simultaneously witnessing Eisenberg evolve as the character. Should Zack Snyder's Justice League reshoots come to fruition, Luthor deserves to be thrown back in the mix, because his original role in Justice League and the DCEU as a whole is rife with untapped potential. What a brilliant article by Sean O'Neill. I do applaud a great article. Wow. This is part of the reason we are all mad at Warner Brothers and Kevin Sugihara. I know a lot of you want to blame Geoff Johns. I don't see how he's the dark, evil mastermind of all this. I blame Sugihara, and I always have. This is sacrilege. Zack Snyder had a plan for Lex. We knew this already before this article, but it's very, very interesting to read it out loud here with you guys, fellow DCEU fans, DC fans, BVS fans, Man of Steel fans, and just to think what might have been. Because what might have been, as Sean said, had so much untapped potential. It's interesting because there's a lot of things that Zack's told us about his Justice League movie. He's been very coy about Superman and Lex Luthor. I don't think Lex Luthor is front and centre in the Snyder Cut. I think he's definitely got, I'd say, 3 to 6 scenes in the movie, but I think they're very prominent and important scenes. I think, as I've said before, I wouldn't have cast Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, but this wasn't my vision. This was Zack Snyder's vision. So the person head of the vision gets to choose who's playing these characters. But ultimately, even though I wouldn't have chosen him, the way he plays Lex, the idea behind his Lex, is amazing, and it only would have got better and better and better. But they cut it. They destroyed the man's vision because they got scared. They knew it was a good vision. But once bloggers and the mainstream audience start ganging up against you, you either say no. It's interesting because we always talk about this fan kind of entitlement thing, but isn't it funny that Warner Brothers bowed down to the wrong type of fan entitlement? As I say, we deserve to see the Snyder Cut. We deserve to see what Lex was doing in that movie. And I said it before, how can you not have him involved when it's his fault that Steppenwolf has come, that Darkseid knows about Earth and Superman, he already knows about Earth, of course. There's so much untapped things. We know that we see a younger Darkseid, Euxis, in this movie as well, in flashbacks, right? This was going to be such a huge scope, ambitious, epic movie. And Warner Brothers got their axe and they knocked it down. And it's absolutely unforgivable. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. Right. The main headlines today are that the Green Lantern Corps movie by Geoff Johns is dead at Warner Brothers. It's all been transferred to the HBO Max exclusive Green Lantern Corps TV series, where he will be doing everything he was going to do with the movie, but a lot more. As I say, imagine in scope. Imagine Clone Wars, the Star Wars animated series, in live action. It's that big. It's that huge. The potential is limitless, and be very excited. As I said, comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.